All right, so the next activity that that you should do is basically a series of exercises using the digital input and output. So for this, you are going to need your Arduino, right? With a programming cable and a computer with a programming with the Arduino software running on it. You're also going to need a breadboard, which is what you're going to build the circuits described in the activities, as well as a LED, a couple of three resistors. The values listed in the activity are 10,000 to 10,000 k ohm resistors and a 10,000 ohm resistors and a 1,000 ohm resistor. But these are basically pull up and pull down current limiting resistors. So the particular values are not too important. One thing to note though is the brightness of the LED is going to depend on the resistor. So if you pick too large of a resistor value, you may not be able to tell when it's actually on and off because it'll be too dim. You're also going to need a toggle switch. So a switch like this that you turn on and turn off. And then a push button switch. So it's a switch that when you push it in, it's on, and when you release it, it's off. You're likely going to need to solder wires to your switches so that you can connect it to your breadboard, which you can see that I have done. If I zoom in. So you'll see that I basically just, each one of these connectors had a hole through it, so I just put the wire through it and soldered it on. You want to use, I would recommend using solid core wire for this, just because that's easier to push into the holes of the breadboard. And then you're going to want either a bunch of breadboard jumpers or leads to connect from the breadboard to your Arduino. So just to go over some breadboard basics for those of you who haven't used it, you have basically rows that go across of the breadboard on top and bottom. So that there is usually two rows, but some are different, on the top and bottom, and they are connected horizontally. And then in the middle part, you have these columns that are connected vertically with a break in the middle. One thing to note is that some breadboards have a break in the middle on the horizontal rows. So that, if you're using all the way down, but sometimes those aren't connected, but you can then just put a wire from here to here to connect them. I usually like to work with my voltage on the top, my ground on the bottom, and just sort of work top to bottom when I'm building circuits. So if you look at the activity for today, and if I pull it up, what you should be doing is basically you run through 4 sub-examples. So on these circuits, you'll see the pin of the Arduino indicated, and then the circuit that you're going to connect to. And one thing that's important, when this says ground or 5 volts, you want to connect them to the Arduino 5 volt and ground. So basically you'll build each one of these circuits, and then you'll write a program that accomplishes the tasks in each one of these. So basically, you're first just going to build a program and a circuit that blinks the LED on and off for 5 seconds. Next, you're going to basically read the status of this switch by connecting it to pin 7 and building this circuit and outputting to the serial port. And then you're going to do the same thing with the push button switch. And then finally, the last thing to do is basically read the inputs of the switches and have it modify the ground. And then, yes, one thing that it is important to do is you want the Arduino disconnected from the computer while you are doing your wiring, because the Arduino will draw power through the USB port, and you generally want power disconnected while you are building circuits.